Going on, guys? The tongue is back, and today I got another beer review for you. We're going to be looking at Stoudts Double Blonde Maibock. Not really been able to find a whole lot about this beer, but it isn't quite a large bottle. 22 fluid ounces or 650 milliliters, or 1 pint. 6 fluid ounces, depending on how you want to look at it. But it is a pretty large bottle. It's got this. It's got a hop on the. It's got a hop on the label, and then it's got a goat's head on there. That's typical for Bock beers, like Doppelbocks, and Icebox, and just different Bock beers. For some reason, they just use a goat. A goat is a symbol for Bock beers. I don't know why that is. I don't remember, at least. I may have known at one point, but I have forgotten why that is. It doesn't say on here, but I was able to find out that it's about 7% alcohol. There's a couple places where it didn't list it at all, and some of the but Beer Advocate did say that it was a 7% alcohol beer, so we'll see. I don't know if you can notice this or not, but there's some yeast in the bottle. It doesn't say it on here, but there's definitely yeast in the bottle. So this is bottle fermented. So this will actually get stronger over time. If you were to just let this sit for, say, 2, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, over time, because there's yeast in the bottle, the alcohol would slowly rise over time. So it would go from, say, 7% to 10, 12, whatever. And you can age beer if it's at a certain kind of ABV, around 7% or so and higher, and is bottle fermented. You can store your beer. Like beers like this will store for 10 to 20 years. And the higher the alcohol, the longer it will store. And then, of course, like I said, if it's bottle fermented, then you can definitely store it. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. I am drinking it out of a Pilsner glass. I was, excuse me, looking on Beer Advocate to kind of see what kind of glasses are recommended for this style. And surprisingly enough, a pint glass was not. But the Pilsner glass was, so I figured, heck, why not drink it out of a Pilsner glass since I got one. Excuse me, coughing. Throat's dry. This beer will help with that. Pouring very nicely. Now, when pouring a beer that has yeast in the bottle, you don't want to disturb the yeast too much. With a bottle that's this size, you shouldn't have too much of a problem with it. But if it was a smaller bottle, you'd want to pour it slow, a little bit slower than normal, because you want to leave that yeast in there and leave it towards the end. Now, this has a good 2-finger head, slight bit of haziness. Partially from, it's probably an unfiltered beer. It's got nice levels of carbonation. It's got, some good levels of carbonation there coming up from the middle of the glass. Definitely kind of got that blonde, kind of golden color, but it's a haziness to it. It's got a nice white to slightly off-white head to it. That just looks delicious. Let's go ahead and get the aroma on this sucker. I'm definitely picking up that yeast. I am not smelling much through that thick head. That when you got a head on a beer that's thick, that's that thick like that and that tall, it can be quite difficult to pick up flavors just based off of smell. And but that's what you want. You want that kind of a head on your beer, but it's harder to pick up flavors. Excuse me. So let's dive into this. Cheers. Yeah. That's pretty good. It's got kind of it's got that kind of banana-y, kind of almost maybe even clove that you typically would find in a Hefeweizen. But this is not a wheat beer. It's a Maibock. It's totally not a wheat beer. I can't remember exactly what a Maibock / Hellesbock is like a description wise, like what it's actually supposed to be. But this one definitely kind of has that banana-y cloveness from the yeast, but doesn't. It's totally not a wheat. Yeah, I get kind of like a banana bread. Very, very minimal hop presence in this beer. Very minimal, which is what you want out of a Bock beer. Any of the Bock beers. You don't want them to be very hoppy. You want them to be more on the malty side. Yeah, definitely getting that kind of banana-y flavors. Very banana. It's got a nice mouthfeel to it. It's not like it's not super watery. It's just nice and fulfilling. Like this is a spring seasonal beer. It's not quite spring yet, but it's usually when this beer comes out. It's around the springtime. Man, this would be perfect on like a nice spring day or even a nice summer day. It's a nice, refreshing beer. Like it's not, excuse me, it's not overpowering on the hops and the bitterness. It's not too crazy, but it's also not like super light drinking, like say a typical American style lager or a typical lager. Like this one it's got some meat to it, but it's not too much. It's just right. Like it's got that nice mix. So if it was a nice hot day out, man, I tell you what, this beer would go perfect on a nice hot day. Nice hot summer day, nice spring day. Yeah, it's just got a wonderful mouthfeel, lovely carbonation. If this is a 7% alcohol beer, you would never know it. You can't really taste. This drinks like a lower alcohol beer, like about a 4.5 to 5% alcohol beer. This one doesn't drink like a 7, and part of that is because of the carbonation. And just they were able to hide the alcohol pretty well in this one. But definitely a very good beer. Check it out. You might be able to find this in smaller bottles, like a 12-ounce bottles. But definitely check out Stoudts Blonde Double Maibock. Thanks for watching, folks. And I'm going to finish the rest of this beer.